they look pretty daunting in the mirrors of a Legends car. That much has to be said.
Yeah, well, it's quite a sizable increase in terms of car compared to the older 86 car. So, you know, it will be quite kind of the same size as the Legends car. So, yeah, it's a different style of driving. Obviously, you don't have that huge Group A engine that they used to have in the older car, giving a huge amount of power. So, I'd say thank God we have the Legends car as the safety car, because if we still had the Porsche, I think it would be gapping possibly the 86, at least on the oval parts of it. So yes, I think the driver's happy that they don't have to push flat out, as yeah, we're still getting drivers getting waved through at the moment. As I think everybody that has pitted as well had at least a bit of damage on the car. So I can see quite a few people have a bit of front damage as well there. I think that might be Alex Gillen still with that damage after he hit the wall. So I know they've got fast repairs, but maybe some drivers electing to not take the repair for some reason.
Yeah, so they've only got 4, and that's the important thing. If they've only got 4 fast repairs, you might want to save them for more important instance later on in the race. And that might be where we are. We apologise, ladies and gentlemen, for any of the issues that you've been maybe running into. We are back with you on all forms of channel and getting ourselves then into a wonderful position to get back to racing action. An incident that happened then a little bit further down the field involving Els Indriani and making this safety car find itself through. Adam Sanderson was caught up in the mix as well in the number 71 machine. But we've got a shaken up field now as it goes with, I think this is one of the most interesting things. 7 cars in the top 10 started outside of the top 10.
Yeah, I think the biggest winner from this has been TK, all the way up to P5 in that police liveried car. Lovely to see that. Very sort of daunting car to be behind you. And he did say before the race that he would try and flash his lights as much as possible to distract other drivers. So perhaps that is the reason why he's all the way up in positions. I think I heard something about safety car in next lap, yes, but I might have misheard that radio as it's quite quiet in my ear. But yeah, indeed, in this lap now as they cross the line there. So yeah, we're about to get racing as everybody bunches up on the safety car.
So let's get ourselves into position of what has happened over the first 9 laps, or first 8 laps worth of racing. Qualifying was pretty simple for Aidan Poll. He took the pole position ahead of Kamikaze. Those two broke away, and it was pretty plain sailing. We had Ryan L83 go through on Alex Gillen, good scraps in the middle of the field. But then, of course, the safety car came along, or the unsafety car in this case, and now it's thrown a strategy game. So we've had many drivers decide to come in and take a pit stop. We've had other drivers decide that a pit stop is not necessary at this moment. And I look around at Punju, Racing Shai, El Taco Man, Grand Pooh Bear, TK, Tom97, Scotty Design, Ultra Killer I'd put in that mix. Killer Cleo, another one out there who has decided to not necessarily take the service. So you get a real sense of drivers who have taken service, John, drivers who haven't, and now a case of, will the drivers who are quick work their way through?
Yeah, so the drivers you're looking for there, Aidan Poll, Kamikaze, Alex Gillen, Ryan L83, who's been passed in the pit stops actually by Alex, because I don't think Alex was one of the drivers to take their repair. So those 4 essentially, maybe with Brendan as well, but we'll be hoping to get past the cars that have yet to pit. But it won't be plain sailing. There is no like big overspeed or big confidence difference like we saw in the Lotus 79. So you know, all of these drivers will be pushing the car more to its limits, so you're going to have to get quite creative to get past them. For Punju as well, this is the question: at what point do you go now with the safety car peeling back into the pits? It becomes Punju's race to decide when it gets underway, and I think he'll want to try and catch Razin a little bit out of the blue, as it's going to be difficult as there's only one sort of chicane to go into, so you've got to kind of decide when they are into the chicane, and they've gone now. Yeah, they've gone straight away, and it has caught Razin out.
Yeah, wonderful jump there. Gets 4 or 5 car lengths as we go back to running here with 35 laps of racing left in this one. The chase very much important here off of the start, and immediately dropping his Ultra Killer 2 or 3 places through the opening corner. Then running through, another couple's going to go through. Look at the swarm that goes by. B-Roy, Brendan Hyperstar goes through. Now look at this, Supreme down on the inside. Oh, Freebie there at turn 4 picks it off. It goes to show you how much confidence you need off of these restarts.
The Queen is fading and fading fast for both Alex Gillen and for Ultra Killer as we got also overtakes. I think the Scotty Designs defending also. So P9 really looking to... No, actually, I think this is Aerotech. No, my apologies, that's Aerotech. As Razin, I think, has gone for a little bit of a spin or some sort of incident. You see smoke there, and I think he's returned to the pits with that one. So a big crash happening just off of our cameras there. We'll hopefully get a replay of that. But yeah, some drama happening as Punju gets nearly a 1 second gap. It's El Taco Man getting all sorts of running, and TK as well under pressure as he was nearly flipped over there, over the curb. Well, just mesmerizing stuff to watch. But look at him, he's been swarmed by Aidan Pole, by Tom97, by Grand Poobar, and Kamikaze looking to go up the inside as well.
So with Rasin Chai's incident, it was a case of clip the wall out of 7, which caused 8. Now everyone's pivoting to try and find an angle into the corner. That final chicane, big jump over by Kamikaze, and it stays as they are in this group. And behind that, it gets almost 3 wide as Alex Gillen fights Ryan L83 again in that group just behind. You can see it on the exit of the corner. There's a spin behind. Scotty Designs is thrown into the barriers.
Oh, so unfortunate. Big damage on the rear. You can see there the light not even working there, so that's going to be really extensive. I think they might be having to go back to the pits with that one, as we've still, think, on board with Alex Gillen now trying to get back up the inside. Ryan trying to go, to the outside, get the switch back, but Ryan will shut the door on that one, saying, Alex, look, there's times to make a move, and this is not one of them, with B-Roy looking to get up the inside. B-Roy, one of the most unfortunate people last week, so he'll be looking to make up for it as he gets a tremendous drive onto the oval section, but Alex is just hogging the inside line there, and to go around the outside you need a tremendous amount of overspeed, which B-Roy does not have at the moment, so have to remain in the slipstream. However, Alex a little bit hot-headed, so there is a chance. Around, I think that's El Taco Man getting collecting as well.
And Aidan Pole, who was expected to be the quickest driver here, too impatient to try and get it sorted, now has the most awkward rejoin to try and sort. This will be right to the back of the field. But Aidan Pole, trying to find a gap in the traffic, will now finally manage it behind Els Indriani. What a disaster there for Aidan Pole, pushing there to try and find a way through, and that now brings a huge shake-up. Kamikaze, you would feel, is your favourite, now up in second position. Punju now 2.4 to the good at the front of this field. TK in third. Grand Poobar chasing in fourth. And I want to go to this group right now because Alex Gillen wants a way through on top 97. No chance through 3, trying to eye up 4, has to fall in line, but the moment you start attacking, you have to start defending, because now look at this, they might fan out on the straight, 3 wide, Ryan L83 has to lift out of it, and throwing through the corner, Tom's going to go to Narnia, sliding about, saving it, Dorifto, multi-track lane, try and hold it together, we'll drop 5 places, but crucially keep the car.
Yeah, the only thing I have to say to that one is Nani. He got a huge drift there, and I think Ryan got tapped. Ryan tapped B-Roy in that one, and that was so unfortunate there. Also for Aidan as well, they just got collected by Ultra Killer, and there was nothing much they could do really. They were kind of already a passenger going into this chicane on the last lap, so very, very unfortunate for certain drivers. But you can see the snap of oversteer here on board from El Taco Man's perspective. Just as you go over the curb, you've kind of just got to sit there and hope that the car maintains level tracking, but more often than not you do get a bit of a oversteer, and that's something you have to pay attention to, because when you're going for a move you have to anticipate that the car will not do as he plans. Grand Prix Bear up the inside, but tagged all the way over the curb, going flying into the door of TK. And TK has paid the ultimate price for that, as Alex Gillen and El Tacoman go through as well. So disappointing as TK goes up the inside, trying to get a move back on Alex. But Grand Prix Bear and El Tacoman fighting as well. So this is going to end in disaster. I can already see it right now. Wow, Tacoman up the inside. Great defense, it must be said. But this is far from over.
The exit. Look at the exit, because this is where the move's going to come back from Grand Pooh Bear. Straight down the inside of 5. Opens up turn 6 now for Alex Gillen to attack El Tacoman. And suddenly, this is what we love. Group-style racing as everyone tries to work a way forward. Now, Brendan Hyperstar caught out wide, clips the wall. Dupreme is there, but still side by side. Alex Gillen down on the low side here. They're now going to start working. Ryan L83 is going to try and give a push, and now the side draft's going to come in through El Tacoman at this stage to try and work this out. TK looking to be completely police interceptor at the moment on the outside. It's like watching a cop show at the moment with him in the mix, but Matt 212 just on the back leaves the angle. This is a train of 10 at the moment, going all the way back to Aerotech and Strasner at the back, and it's a case of attack or be attacked as it's side by side for the lead. Kamikaze, by the way, down the inside of Punju, takes it away.
Yeah, so Kamikaze using that pace, he's going to try and pull away, and now he'll be wishing that there's no safety cars from this point. Look at the gap. As Grand Pooh Bear, I think, has gone all the way round there in the background, and he's dropping multiple positions. TK losing out on that one. I think Ryan involved in that as well. So multiple collisions there into the last chicane. Not exactly gone to plan, as we can see damage as well, I think, from Matt's 212 there in the background. Or no, that is TK, sorry, my apologies. Car of TK, that is Matt 212. We can see in the Panasonic delivery, trying to go round the outside of El Tacoman, just onto the grass. Not going to make it work, but up the inside goes Supreme TV.
Safety car.
Safety car deployed, as you can hear.
Oh, and they were 3 wide. Supreme will just steal one on El Tacoman as the unsafety car is thrown out. So Kamikaze with that gap suddenly is all put together again with all of the carnage that came together on the front stretch. I am not surprised to see it out, and Super Noodle Bagel is going to find trouble down in the pit, and that might be the catalyst for what we saw there, and has a disqualification to go along with it. So Super Noodle Bagel is effectively out of this race, got tapped and turned around, then on the back stretch by, I believe, Ultra Killer was the one who got caught up in that. And so that is where we find ourselves with what goes on, Grand Pooh Bear and the like in the pits. So now, hold yourself steady, because now it's again a game of who does what, and Kamikaze, no surprises, is going to take some service.
Yeah, indeed. I think everybody that didn't pit on the first time round is going to have to pit here. I think just to repair damages. So a lot of people just picking up front splitter damage, and I think he was. That was like a stop and go. I'm not sure exactly what was happening there.
That's the fast repair.
That is the fast repair. My apologies. Yes, indeed. So probably some damage there, just doing the overtake on Punju, if nothing else. But that's really disappointing for Kamikaze, because again, he will relinquish the race lead, and I think Punju is just trying to hold out at the front of the pack to avoid having any sort of problems and contact. Because the longer you can go in the race without any damage just means the more you stay out of trouble, as a lot of people have found out in the mid-pack there. But yeah, a lot of unfortunate incidents, and I think a lot of Kanze Doriftos, but not in the good sense.
No, it's been a tough start for many drivers, and we are 15 laps in to this 44-lap race. So 2 unsafety cars in the first quarter of battling that we've got out there. So it now gives a chance for drivers to reset, like TK, for example, in the 999, who will now start to push forward and look for progress. You've also got the likes of Killer Cleo right now, who is down in the pits and will be looking to try and get back out and away again and move on through. But at least right now, it's a case of everyone who's nearer the back has more emphasis to take service, because you lose less.
Yeah, indeed, and it will bunch up the field, so any repairs that you take, even though you're 30 seconds behind, you will eventually get them. We've got a replay of Raz in here, I think, just tapping the wall. He must have got something wrong, maybe even clipping the inside. Oh, he's lost a wheel on the outside. That is super unfortunate. You can't turn with a wheel completely hanging off the car and into the barrier, and that is game over, sadly, as he cannot get back to pits. You can see the extent of the damage on the car there. Literally just a mistake. It's drifting wide. Yeah, you can see the car just bouncing actually as he went over the curb, and it never regained contact until he hit the barrier. So kind of a passenger, even though I think he lifted off. Aiden Pole, this is going to be the overtake. I think this was with Ultra Killer, so going... Oh, yeah, Ultra Killer goes all the way round and just collects and taps the rear of Aiden Pole. And then, sorry, El Taco Man it was, yes. And then he has to just sit here and wait and watch all of the cars pass. I mean, he's got a good position to eat a sandwich there, but not exactly for racing. So yeah, you can see just getting that twitch of oversteer, and then gets tapped by Aiden Pole, who gets tapped back as well. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, sadly. And that is sometimes as racing is. It's not exactly fair all the time, but what can you do? You have to push the limits.
So this is Kamikaze's pass for the race lead, as it was all kicking off behind. This is what we expect then from drivers who are in position at the front of the field, just working the banking on the outside. Punju then finds he's not got the inside for the final chicane. Kamikaze can crowd and control the inside of that chicane, and as Punju straddles it very much like a bit of Tony Hawk railing there, it was a case of easy for Kamikaze to move on back to the front with that work. So that was wonderfully done in terms of that pass, and there we catch the end of what happened with the likes of Grand Pooh Bear picking up the damage. You can see the suspension caved in on the front left, and so goes for a secondary spin, tags the wall on the inside, and with more dramas there, enough to throw the car out. Ryan L83 taking a huge hit there through the middle, 360, no scope, back out racing again, John.
Yeah, but a huge pinball effect. You can see TK in the wars as well with damage on the car. So yeah, just a few drivers getting caught in situations where they can't do anything. They're boxed in, they can't brake in time. And yeah, they're just having to just hit the brakes and hopefully not get too big of a shunt. But for Ryan, that has put him all the way back in P15, so not exactly ideal. And I was going to talk about at some point in the race when we had a bit of time, but so far it's been carnage, at least on
at the end of this lap.
Well,
if you have
half of the laps, let's say. A brief approximation there. But the driving styles are going to be very different in these cars, in that some of the guys that are used to like the Formula style or open wheel style cars will brake very, very late and try and carry a little bit of understeer, whereas the guys that are used to GT or oval racing will be a little bit softer on the brakes, and that can lead to situations into the corners where you misunderstand what the other guy's doing and you misunderstand the line they're taking, and that can lead to events where you just tap the guy in front or brake too harshly for the guy behind, and then it just sends a spiral of effect which leads to damage, you know, repairs, or indeed getting caught in a situation where you can't hit the brakes in time.
So we've got a couple cars a lap down here as the safety car is due to come in at the end of this lap. Chesnoy Gaming is 1 lap down with a drop out there of connection. And then Super Doodle Bagel, who had the disqualification flag shown, had the black flags cleared as we watch with Brendan Hyperstar, who is up into 5th position right now, and we are going with, and is definitely looking to try and charge forward and say, can I find a bit more pace out there? With Kamikaze directly behind, you then got Aerotech, Strasner, Sparks, and top 10 for Tiamat Marduk. How have you magicked Tiamat Marduk up into the top 10, John?
Yeah, and he's pitted as well, so that is, I want to say, a net position, really. So I think he's just kept himself out of trouble, to be fair. He's had a pretty disastrous qualifying, but he is a person that can indeed keep out of trouble when necessary. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they overtake. I don't think they're too familiar with this style of format, as we see Punju backing the field up now to do a lovely safety car restart. Can he get the better of Alex Gillen, a driver a little bit more used to safety car restarts? So maybe this won't be as easy.
Maybe not, but the one key that you're going to be finding, as Chesnoid and Super Noodle Bagel need their black flags cleared by the looks of it for what they've done under these conditions. Punju now sits and waits to go again, but Alex Gillen might be a little bit more wise to the restart, and now running through the middle of the corner, waiting, and launches through the mid part of it, which does actually catch Alex Gillen out. What a launch there by Brendan Hyperstar. What a jump into third position then, getting by both Supreme and now having to fight Matt 212, stuck on the inside then, through turn 2, tags the rear. Oh, how you avoided the wall there, going through the middle, goes Supreme, and Kamikaze's in the middle of this mix. It's getting dicey now for third position, contact between Supreme and Matt 212, Kamikaze through the middle, trying to think about 3 wide at 5, thinks better of it, still Supreme, stuck on the outside, and Aerotech's now sniffing about.
Still mouth wide open from the save by Matt 212. He's got away into the distance as Kamikaze moves up to P4, but Supreme TV has managed to keep his nose in, as well as Kamikaze gets a dreadful launch onto the oval, and that means that Aerotech is up the inside, bump drafting in effect right there, and you can see the potency of it. Kamikaze's just been left completely with nothing he can do, as Aerotech really using all of his knowledge there to make sure that everything could happen. Although, no, don't go too wide, surely not. They've made it work into the chicane. Really great driving there by both of them, but Kamikaze gets a better exit, just being able to take the optimal line, and that means he's back up to P5. He's really in the wars. One of the only people that we had of the fast qualifiers that is still in the hunt at the moment for the race victory. He's got to get a move on now, as it looks like Alex is hunting down Punju for the lead, as well as this train of, I think, 11 cars is still all fighting with each other, as Kamikaze goes for a move up the inside on Aerotech. Aerotech's not going to defend this one, or he's going to try and keep it around the outside. Yeah, brave around the outside, trusting Kamikaze, and it looks like it has worked out, as he got to defend now on Supreme TV.
Yeah, but Supreme runs wide through turn 3, and suddenly it's Strasner down the inside looking to pick this one up. Easy done. Gets the pass sorted, and now Sparks is trying to line up something then as we go on board with Brendan Hyperstar. Watch on the front right, because you're going to soon see, yeah, there's that pass. Sparks moving up and making progress, recovering back through the order, qualified the car in 5th position, remember, at the early start of racing, but now is going to start thinking about what more to do, because this group has already dropped a handful of seconds, 4 of them to be precise, to your leading duo of Punju and Alex Gillen. Matt 212 in no man's land, as Supreme TV looks to continue on bumping with Strasner this time, heading into that magical back chicane they work through. But speaking of which, Alex Gillen goes for a spin, and that is on the back of Punju. He's thrown it into the corner, but he's got way too much of the curb and has just tapped the back of Punju and gone around for troubles.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got any damage, but one person in trouble is Brendan Hyperstar, who has quite a bit of damage. Let's see if we can get a replay of what was happening here. I think this is on board with Alex. Yes, it is indeed. So we're going to, yeah, once again, Punju taking a different line. So Alex taking the trail braking line, Punju getting it slowed down. And that means that once Alex was airborne, there's nothing he could do about it. And he's panic hitting the brakes. And then it means it locks up the tires, and then around you go. Unfortunate. But yeah, that's the margin of error that you can't leave, really, because you've got to try and carry the speed. As it looks like Aerotech is doing all he can to defend this P4, but that is allowing Kamikaze to get away a little bit, as Strasner is really looking to have the better pace than Aerotech, but yet to find a way through, as I think there might be a little bit of damage there on the back of Aerotech's car. I'm noticing the lights not coming on anymore, so perhaps something has happened and a little bit of a tap that's causing him to lose a little bit of pace now.
Yeah, he's just got to be careful here, there's Aerotech, knowing that Strasner's there, Supreme's there, Alex Gillen's going to want to try and run back through the order. These are drivers who want to make places, and B-Roy makes a beeline by Gwatz for another place. So they've got to start playing the game. The moment that they scrap early on in a race like this, they will start losing draft and losing toe, and once that rubber band snaps, it becomes almost impossible to catch a gap back up. You need a lot of pace to make that happen. If that is the case, Punju with a 9/10 gap now over Matt 212. It's a case of Strasner having a little bit of a search here for 4th position, thinks about it, but again, happy to go to the back, never truly alongside for this final chicane. It is a surprisingly quick entry at 120 kilometers an hour into the right-left to end the lap. And so when you hit that section, you turn around and see Strasner and go, well, I'm not close enough, I may as well not.
Sparks all the way over the back of Brendan Hyperstar there, trying to find a way through. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to kind of intimidate the guy in front to make a little bit of a mistake, and then all you've got to do is get your nose in either inside or outside, and you can hopefully go side by side. It is possible.
Oh, big jump up.
Yeah, big
Aiden
crash
Paul
there.
and
Aiden Paul.
Gwot.
Yeah, indeed, collision. I think. Just trying to get the overtake. I was going to just mention the fact that Aiden Paul was making a good recovery drive, but that sadly has come to an end as we see them in the barrier right there. Not big damage on the car, but again, big time losses. He's had to wait for everybody to go past once again, as I think actually, yeah, he's testing for damage, and maybe he does have more than what it looks.
Oh, he's going to have to be careful here because that's Chesnoid who's a lap down that he's got to try and get around and does so. Issue there for Aiden Paul. He had so much pace going in. You can see Gwotz is there on the outside. He has to lift off the brakes. He turns in as if Aiden Paul's not there because he's just jumped so quickly onto the back of Gwotz. Gwotz has not had the time to react to realise there's a car on his inside, and that's where the contact happens.
Yeah, sometimes you've just got to assume that the driver in front of you hasn't really seen you if you're closing in that pace, and it's not really an overtaking spot normally. So yeah, very tricky, as I think Aiden Paul's going to be overtaken here. Collision, that's Chesnoid going around. Can Aiden Paul recover it? Yes, he can, but Chesnoid all the way around there on the chicane, and he's rejoined quite quickly, actually. He's managed to get the car spun around. Yeah, just an overtake for the lead, as well as Punju, well, briefly trying to go for an overtake for the lead, I'll rephrase, as, yeah, Matt's 2-1-2 looking to overtake, but there is Kamikaze once again. He's always in the hunt. Look at the amount of time he's closed back up. This is going to get very spicy, as we've seen a ridiculous save from Matt already in this race. As I must say, Punju has made the excellent demonstration of how good a strategy it is sometimes to just maintain the race lead, maintain track position, and stay out of trouble.
At the end of the day, if you're P1 on the final lap, you win this race, and Punju is trying to just tick off as many laps as possible at the front, but Matt 2-1-2 now moves over to the right-hand side, almost gifting the chance to the inside away to Kamikaze, lifts out on the brakes, realises that's not my fight, and Kamikaze is lightning fast, so says, you know what, how about a take two? Look at that chicane and the way that pace has been launched there by Kamikaze. Punju here is going to look around and think, oh no, not you again, on the outside, turned inside. This might be a complete carbon copy of the move that happened, which put Kamikaze to the race lead. Oh, there's almost contact as they run into the corner. They fight for the middle of the apex. They bash against each other, almost like touring cars again. Matt 2-1-2 goes from 3 to 2 to 1 at turn 1 to make the move. Punju now tries to move back down to the inside and a little turn through turn 2 to take it, but Matt's got the inside at 3 and now's going to try and fight for it. Just enough room. Punju has the lead. Big throw comes back in at turn 4, and watch the exit, because here comes Kamikaze now to pick up on Matt 2-1-2, to pick up on Punju at turn 5. Sensational stuff in the Creator Series, and it's now Kamikaze who takes his turn at the front. Can he get the clearance? No, can't get through 7, waits for turn 8, and does.
Oh, this is the lovely entry-level type series racing that you love to see. Side-by-side action is definitely possible. Kamikaze getting the better of both of them, but it must be said, I think a little bit impatient to get through, and that might have given him some damage, unnecessary really, as look at the pace he's giving up in a straight line. I think he might have some aerodynamic damage as he goes for a defensive move over the curbs. He's going to clout the curves. Punju taking an even bigger line. Matt's lost it. Matt's lost it in the background all the way. No, he manages to save it, but he's lost 4 positions there and drops down to P7 as Punju's got up the inside once again to go for an overtake. I think Kamikaze might have a little bit of damage on the car. Look at that straight line speed. There's nothing he can do right now as Punju once again into the race lead. Matt 2-1-2 has recovered, but it's going to be a long drive, as you can see him just appear in the shot in the backgrounds there, as Strasner then inherits P3 with Supreme and Alex Ginnan and Aerotech looking to take, and meanwhile up the inside goes Kamikaze once again for the race lead. Punju tries to do the switchback, but I think takes a little bit too much of the curb, and that means that he loses pace with the traction control just deploying, and Kamikaze will be able to defend this one. Can he pull away? We've seen so many times how aggressive he's been on the curbs, and that is because in the world of rally where he comes from, that is literally a minor impact to the floor of the car in the world of rally. He will do that every single corner in a rally car, and that means that he's not afraid of those curbs and he can extract that pace, and that is what we are seeing. But is that damaging the car over a race stint? Who knows? Only he will know realistically, as they're getting so close to the barrier on the exit into the oval.
Well, everybody is pushing right now, and it's very much a case of seeing Kamikaze out there. He drives like a Solberg out there every time he's on track, and it doesn't matter what car he's in, he is flying fast. Here's the Norwegian leading this one with Punju second, Strasner in third under pressure from Supreme TV. You've then got Alex Gillen and Aerotech in 5th and 6th places, looking to hold themselves steady. That is the group of 4 trying to chase down those front 2 to make it a 6-pack challenge at the front of this field. Oh, and have we mentioned that we've just clicked over halfway a couple laps ago? There's been so much amazing action, it's just breezed by.
Indeed, yet half race distance, which means there's half the chaos yet to come, and that brings a smile to my face as I think Alex is going to go for it on the inside here. Is he going to try? No, he thinks about it, but he thinks better, as I think Punju got very close to the wall there. Must admit that Punju is losing a lot of time on this infield section, but on the straight, he is just bringing back the gap to Kamikaze, who I think has maybe some front end damage from their contact earlier. So very interesting to see as the gap 9/10 of a second to the race leader, and Strasner is closing in on Punju now, having gapped Supreme TV a little bit, 4/10 of a second. So not really, but they are closing in. You can see visibly as it's become a 5-car train for P2 at the moment. Aerotech looking to get in on the action for Alex Gillen there, who looks to be a little bit slow, as we have a car on the inside there, I think just trying to get back to pits, maybe with some damage. I did notice a tyre or 2 fly off on the infield section, so perhaps some big damage. Trying to find out who that is. I think Guatz, yes, I was thinking then it looked like the car of Guatz, but yeah, it looks like he's just trying to limp back to the pit as we go into this chicane once again. So tricky, and you can see a lot of cars just trying to get the overspeed. Yeah, look at the run from Supreme TV.
Yeah, gets a great chicane sorted, and Supreme now tries to work it on Strasner. Now this is critical because look at Alex Gillen on the inside. He's going to try and push his way up into 4th position. Doesn't have enough room for it. Wisely backs out of the corner. Strasner will be happy with that push because it means that Supreme doesn't have the chance to attack. Alex Gillen again gets close, and Kachow, he was there in a flash, but ultimately can't quite find a way there. So that was a case of a nice cheeky push. We're seeing a couple cars taking damage repairs in the pits. Tom 97, another one who's just exiting the pits right now and really trying to make that focus. So everybody is looking around saying, can I find a bit of placement here in the second half of this race? This is all about build margin, build momentum, build yourself a platform to go and succeed with, and at least for the moment, it's this group that now becomes interesting. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
I have to say, there's a distinct pattern emerging now where the qualifying doesn't necessarily mean the same results as the race, as we've seen quite a few of the fastest drivers in qualifying drop out of the order in terms of damage, in terms of collisions. But one thing has remained consistent: Kamikaze just being able to keep out of the worst of the troubles and just able to extract the performance to hopefully build a lead here. As Alex getting so aggressive over the curbs there, nearly hopping onto the rear wing of Supreme, but thankfully no damage done there, as it looks like Punju might lose position here to Strasner. He's got a great run and he's less than 2/10 of a second away. You can see him all over the diffuser of Punju's car, giving a little bit of a bump draft, I think, just trying to get them to have a little bit of a move on, maybe even putting them under pressure, because look at that overspeed that Punju took into the last chicane, and that can end disastrously if you just go a little bit too much. We've seen it so many times, and I think Punju maybe being a little bit too aggressive now over the curbs, and he's certainly taking all of that inside of turn 2, turn 3, that's for sure. And yeah, I think maybe also tyre wear coming into effect here, with the tyres maybe overheating a little bit, as we are seeing certain drivers just having to maintain the brakes through the corner, tap the brakes to try and get the car rotated. which is not optimal. You can see there Punju really struggling for rotation on all of these turns.
Yeah, the understeer kicks in, and the more that the understeer kicks in, the traction control starts to kick in as well when you oversteer it, so you just naturally deal with understeer in the car. And we talk about this lineage of this car. Of course, the GR86, of course, part of the lineage after the Truno AE86, which became, of course, a drift legend through Initial D, the wonderful anime that was brought through with that. They do actually have a sequel to that where the GR86 is used as the drifting car of choice, and they have drones chasing about the cars as they go along the Togue Mountains in Japan, which I think is something brilliant out there, really underrated out there in terms of a series. But at the moment, you don't mind when you're Supreme TV and looking for one of the most important overtakes out there, trying to make it happen. It's the Scuderia Dunkersaw car at the moment, which will look out because it's not Dinoco. It's certainly not. Here comes Gillen to the inside. Turn 1, freebie. Aerotech not quite in place to capitalise either.
Yeah, Rusty's car is going very well this time out. Good to see Alex gain a little bit of confidence maybe with the car, profiteering a little bit from mistakes here. Supreme was all over the back of Strasner for laps. And well, here we go again, Alex having to defend the inside, not getting the best run there. I think maybe not using the traction control to the best extent here. I think a certain driver struggling just with that concept. And it's worth remembering also that this car is known, or this lineage of cars known for drifting, but also a very successful touring car in the Group A regulations of the 90s. And that means that this style of racing, this style of the sort of mechanical grip racing is just in its genetics, with the high grip, low-ish power, at least compared to certain racing formats, which means that you can race side by side. Alex Gillen to the inside. Can he has. He's just completely gone to the inside and said, look, I'm going through this corner no matter what. If you want to go side by side, be my guest, but we're not going to make it through the turn. And Strasner has just had to go, okay, right, you have the turn. I can't do anything about it. But can he get the over speed? And it looks like he can, but will he go for a move? Because that was ambitious from Alex, but you know, having to make it work. Is that Punju in the pits? Yeah, Punju pits.
Yeah, it has to. Out of fuel then, and so it's going to have to make that service. And so now you're really getting a sense of who's managing what, who's played this game to perfection. If you've sat on the back of one of these trains, 3 cars, 4 cars like Aerotech has, are you saving fuel compared to everyone else? Mac 212 is yet to make a stop in this race. Neither is Brendan Hyperstar. So they'll be ringing the bell saying, I've got to come in soon and think about how much service I'm trying to take. Kamikaze, of course, has only made the 1 pit stop and did so at the last caution, but that was just a quick stop in the box, just get the car sorted and away. And one of the more unique pit exits that you'll find here at Charlotte Motor Speedway as you go towards turn 2 and then merge into turn number 3, and you get a look at where now you start to find Punju on circuit, and the answer is behind Scotty Designs, by the way. That's P18.
Yeah, not disastrous, but I think a lot of people getting caught out by the fact that there hasn't been a safety car in a while, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a safety car, at least from the current racing, as everybody settles into how to race this track. And as I say that, I think Strasner and Supreme might have clouted the barrier there when he exited the chicane, so I do apologise, a little bit of commentators' curse for them. But yeah, I think a lot of drivers may be in trouble toward the end of this race if there's no more safety cars. So yeah, it's going to be a case of, can Punju maybe get a little bit more confident in clean air racing? I mean, it doesn't really look like it's come out to P18, and he's going to be boxed in by potentially slower drivers. I say potentially because there's quite a few drivers out of position as we get Aidan Poll moving past Tim McMarden, who might have gone for a spin there. He's losing a lot of time just off of our cameras. Razin's gone through as well. He's lost 3 seconds in the space of 1 corner. So yeah, it looks like a little bit of a disaster as Alex is getting gapped a little bit now, and yeah, not exactly you know, keeping the pace of Kamikaze, who's just taken this race by the horns.
Yeah, 8/10 there on the second to last lap that we've just seen, and then a tiny bit, and then 3/10 of a second. So Kamikaze is working through the traffic then with Els Indriani next to get by, and of course Encephalosis, who let that go at turn 1. So Alex Gillen's got to try and work through and stay with a 2-second margin out there. Strasner under pressure in third, and last lap we also saw B-Roy in that secondary group get by Matt 2-on-2 with Sparks and Brendan Hyperstar. They're in that mixture as well. So that concoction still to go, and we'll be at 14 laps to go next time they cross the line. And every indication is about how clever are you going to be in the late stages of this race. Supreme sitting there with Aerotech, and just behind that, they're running with the St. Helena flag in iRacing at the moment. Brendan Hyperstar figuring out, can I get by Sparks? And the answer is, when you've got a train like this and everyone's got slipstream on the car in front, not really.
Yeah, it's looking like that group is lapping about 0.3 of a second slower than the group in
Aero.
front. As, yeah, Aerotech going through on Supreme TV there. It looks like a clean overtake just on the infield section. Yeah, there you go. You can see it not losing too much time. I think he might have gone round the outside. That is his preferred move on that turn 1, turn 2. Has got a driver off on the chicane there in the background.
Oh, look at this.
Not exactly sure, but yeah, multiple overtakes here. Here we go. This is the group with Strasner. Strasner defending and just trying to get through traffic as well. So the double jeopardy here as they just have to try and keep it clean. Aerotech has profited from that to move up to P4 as well.
That was a battle of lap traffic as well in the middle of it. So Els Indriani in the Anya car there was really having to be patient then, as Encephalosis was able to carry the speed a bit better. That group could have completely imploded on itself with Strasner and the likes of Aerotech. The big loser in all of that is Supreme TV, who now finds just how difficult it's going to be and almost clips the barriers as well. Matt 2-on-2 and B-Roy. Oh, huge shot! Matt 2-on-2 in trouble. B-Roy caught up in it. That might be enough to throw the unsafety car out there. Matt 2-on-2 is put back in, and that looks like an unsafety car.
Oh, so unfortunate. They were going so well, but it was going to end in disaster at some point, because when you're approaching
I think
traffic,
we stay green.
And yeah, it looks like no safety car deployed. So everybody, I think Matt maybe had to tow the car back to pits. Yes, he is in the pit lane. But yeah, it's one of those things that you lose concentration, you get into a rhythm, and then you try and do the overtakes on cars that are taking different lines, and it can just throw you off mentally, and that's when you make a small mistake there at the exit of the chicane, and that's all it takes. But for Kamikaze, I think at this point he'll be scratching his head thinking, I need a little bit of a safety car right now to ensure that I can get to the end of this race. I think he's lifting and coasting, because Alex Gillen closing to 1.3 seconds now, and they are definitely not lapping in the times that I thought. You know, Kamikaze has the best lap time of anybody at the moment with a 1:29.6, but that is not a recent lap time. The rest of the field lapping in the mid-130s at the moment, apart from Aidan Pohl, who's a low 130.2 at the moment. So yeah, it's a big pace difference, but it looks like Kamikaze's finally understood that he has to lift off the throttle a little bit, as we've got B-Roy attacking. I think this is Ryan L83. Yeah, so Ryan, it looks like lifting and coasting as well, as B-Roy was just tapping the rear bumper there. So I think B-Roy is not worried about the damage on the front of his car anymore. He's got damage, he's just working with it.
Yeah, so a lot to try and undertake then with an instant like that, but with Kamikaze slowing a little bit, this could be where it goes. So another look then as we go through into the corner here. This chicane has been where it's so easy to get it wrong. You can see they held it too wide, and then again, it's just tyres up in the air, trying to carry the speed through the middle. It causes the contact, and then ultimately it's Matt 2-on-2 in the barriers who ends up having to take the tow, the fast repair, and go at it once again. But the gap now has suddenly ballooned once more to 2 seconds here. So for Alex Gillen, I think the wake-up message was there from Kamikaze. You've allowed Alex Gillen in too close. You can't afford to do that here and expect to run away with this race. Gillen now suddenly on the back has Strasner and Aerotech, and these three are going to have to try and work together to make sure that their race ends the way that they would hope it does at the moment. And there are drivers making good recoveries through in this long green period, with the likes of Aidan Pohl back to 12th position, Racing Shai to 14th. And you're looking around and saying, well, just try and do what you can. hold yourself in position. Gillen, Strasner and Aerotech now have to figure out what they want to do. Another lap car to get by. This Killer Clio there on the inside and trying to work out a way through there on the inside, and it manages it. And now on the outside, Super Noodle Bagel.
Yeah, indeed, a lot of cars to pass. I'm just thinking that Kamikaze might, or as Alex is going to get Bolt on the inside. Yeah, he's had to lift off a little bit, but they will get past Killer Clio. Yep, it looks like they're just going to go wide. Yeah, smart move, to be honest, to move out of the way. You don't really want to get involved in contact. You're kind of running your own race at that point, and with drivers battling, they can do unpredictable moves some point. So yeah, well done to them for just making sure to not ruin their own race as well. But yeah, it's come to that point where I think maybe Kamikaze might have been doing a cooldown lap for the tyres potentially also, because with so many high-speed corners, sometimes it can be good to lift off the pace a little bit, let the tyre temperature come down a couple of degrees and then attack again, as the gap is nearing 3 seconds now. So Alex really having to defend hard as Strasner and Aerotech are looking to capitalise on that position, but also want to go back to the incident that we saw between B-Roy and Matt 2-on-2. Ironically, I think the traction control not saving them in that instance, because they tried to apply the throttle to recover the car after they got airborne, and it just speared them straight into the wall because you couldn't spin up the rear tyres. So yeah, unfortunate for them, but that's the way it happens. You've got to be careful, you've got to respect the track, and that is what those curbs are designed to do, and they will punish you if you get it wrong. So yeah, Alex just getting the better of them through the chicane there, but they can bump draft, and I think this is what Aerotech's going to do. No, he may be looking for a move actually, as he doesn't even get close to do the bump draft, so they keep position at the moment, but it is heating up, and strategy is into play.
Now, 10 laps to go, and this becomes a case of what more can you find? Kamikaze is gone. I think this is now a race for second, third and fourth, unless something turns up in the books in the final 10 laps that changes the dynamic of this race. I would say this is all about positioning. The gaps are starting to form. The only other group as Aerotech now looks to get his angle. He's decided, I'm done waiting. I've now found myself to the inside, heading to 6. Comfortably done. Then an Aerotech onto the podium on their first start of the season. Wonderfully constructed. And now you start thinking about, well, Alex Gillen, are you safe out there? Is Strasner, for example, going to find a way back to the podium? And the other battles that you've got right now is Ryan L83, B-Roy, who's lost out the place. And remember how Formula Kai started in pit lane, missed the start, and is now in 9th.
Yeah, he's lapping well as well, 130.7, his fastest lap of the race near enough last time out, so he's really got the pedal to the metal. Another person that has the pedal to the metal is Aidan Pohl, who is lapping only 1/10 slower than Kamikaze at the moment, but he is into the 129s once again, so he has got his foot down and is overtaking people at the moment, up from P12 to P11 last lap, overtaking B-Roy. Overtaking TK, and is now chasing down B-Roy. He's got a gap of 4.6 seconds to close down, so it's not going to be this lap, but it will put pressure on the drivers in front. And if there's another safety car, or if something closes up the pack, he could be in a prime position to take advantage of that, as we've got people pitting as well, just realizing that they're not going to get to the end of the race. And that is a question for all of these guys, as some people, Alex Gillen, for example, Aerotech, Strasner, Supreme, Sparks, especially Brendan Hyperstar. Brendan Hyperstar is on 36 laps in this stint, and the rest of them on 30 laps. So they are going to be running on fumes perhaps at the end of this race.
So economy rate going to be really important as we look a little bit further back. That's Ultra Killer then just giving the place away. Joshimas is going to move on in and make that position. So comfortably done then as they try and chase Adam Sanderson and Riff Blondie out there on track right now. But through the chicane once again on the back stretch goes your trio of Gillen, Aerotech and Strasner. This is where I think they've realised it's going to be about us, and positioning is going to be key here. So Aerotech thinking about it, looking and looking and waiting and thinking, can I work a way through? On the brakes, no dice. Alex Gillen was a lot more confident into the corner, but it's sometimes better to prioritise exit, and I think that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, you have to, as the defending driver, you have to kind of park the bus on the apex and just ensure that you get the better exit out so you can defend. Because we're seeing a huge difference in overspeed, actually, between the cars once you get the slipstream, especially down into the first chicane here, which we're about to come to, as that was really over the grass there. But that means Aerotech's got the outside line. This could turn into something. No, Alex just able to find the grip on the inside to basically slam the door. Aerotech all over the grass there as he's managed to save it. Again, a similar save to Matt 2-on-2 that we saw earlier. But these guys are absolutely 100% right now, and it shows.
Well, Aero is apparently, according to my sources, good on fuel and attacking. So this is a case of we gotta go, go, go. And Alex Gillen now is going to be put under an immense amount of pressure here late in this race. If drivers think they're good to go because they've been saving fuel, they're going to be in a really important position. And Brendan Hyperstar is getting pushed about by Ryan L83. This is to get back to 7th position. But for the moment, Brendan's got it sorted, and Ryan is going to have to be the one who waits behind. And I've always been listening into the radio, and Ryan's always been trying to get a little needle, get a little edge, try and get through. It's not quite worked. Strasner now is thinking about, well, if you're good, then I'm good, then I'm going to start thinking about how I attack.
Yeah, for sure. You've got to size up the driver in front of you or behind you and see where you're faster, where you're slower, where they're making a little bit of a mistake, and devise a strategy to get past. All you need with these cars is a little gap on the inside to just put the nose in, and they will have to give you a little bit of room. That is just how racing with these cars works, and you've got to be a little bit aggressive, as I think TK got ahead of Razin there, or maybe a little bit of problem in time. No, it's El Takaman in the pits, my apologies. So yeah, the pits notification coming a little bit late, as there we can see Punju moving up to P14. So that pit stop or not pitting under safety car conditions has really ruined his race a little bit, as Ryan gets past Brendan Hyperstar there, finally goes for the move, and that was a move at the end of the infield section here, as we can see. And I think maybe Brendan making a tiny mistake there, as Ryan has got a sizable gap. But will he be able to maintain that lead? You still get quite a bit of slipstream here, and especially if you've got a bit of damage, which they both appear to have on the front of the car, that can exacerbate the problem. But Ryan, I think, will be trying to close up to Spark, so it'll be interesting to see his pace now that he's in essentially clean air. As you can see, the chicane mitigates the problem of the slipstream, as Brendan was just getting that extra speed as they tried to break through chicane. So a little bit of a defensive initiative now from Ryan, as wow, Brendan's got a huge overspeed here. Hang on, he might be going for a move.
Yep, so this is where you start picking up that run, and I think Brendan Hyperstar is indicating that you do have the ability to attack and gain a bit, but if everybody's playing the fuel game, then there will be drivers who aren't quite at 100% on the straights. I loved listening to the radio over the last lap or so, as everyone was trying to indicate as why goes Alex Gillen there on the exit of 4. Everyone was indicating, you know, it would be really nice if there was a safety car that bunches this field up for the remaining few laps, and it was a case of, well, I'll cause this wreck and I'll cause that wreck, and we're trying to make it happen here at the front, trying to stay close. And there's a lot of good banter going on here between these drivers, because they know it's all about the content here. It's about giving themselves a race to say, this is how much we are pushing, and everyone is trying to be as friendly as they can and say, go on, wouldn't it be funny if?
Yeah, friendly, but they are absolutely driving the wheels off of these cars, as both Alex and Aerotech have set their fastest laps of the race that last lap, with a 30.2, 1 minute 30.2 for Alex and 1 minute 30.1 for Aerotech in his slipstream. So they are just really using the tips and tricks that they've learned throughout this race from other drivers, and indeed from their own confidence, and they are just making sure to push pedal to the metal. And that means also that Kamikaze out in front has to keep the pace up, otherwise he will fall into the clutches. Bad exit from Alex Gillen there, just caught with the traction control as well. A little bit of an argy-bargy into turn 1. Alex trying to get the overlap, but Aerotech ran outside. Oh, he was so brave, battling with the barrier, essentially. Can he get his nose up the inside? It doesn't look like it. He's got to defend as well from Strasner. So Strasner just being a fly in the ointment at the moment as Alex Gillen. You can see, very defensive. I don't think the initiative is with Alex Gillen right now. He's just playing hyper defensive and just trying to not make any mistakes. But he can ill afford a situation like that on the last chicane once again.
Well, Aerotech through that opening corner was soaring at the wheel so much he may have built an entire treehouse by the time he got to turn 2. That's how hard he had to push through the opening corner. But now as they sit back into line once again, with 5 laps to go, they're trying to figure out what's the way through. There's also a race on for 5th and 6th between Sparks and Supreme, who hold themselves into play. Safety car will not come out for the remainder of this race. They're going to have to fight for it. Aerotech then, look at the push by Gillen, opening it up, slides through the middle of the corner. Cookies! That's Strasner's.
Yeah, that was such aggressive defending from Alex. You know, Aerotech went to the inside and there was a little bit of a tag before they'd even reached the braking zone, which meant that Aerotech was completely offline to go through the chicane. And look at the distance that he's lost. I think he'll be quite frustrated with that. Yeah, Alex may be entitled to that corner still. Difficult to see from that camera angle, but Strasner, the big winner out of that one. And now Alex's job is to push and get away. I think maybe Alex being a little bit too aggressive on the defense, just working into his own mind there in terms of the defensive strategy. Whoa, B-Roy! That was nearly incredibly difficult into the barrier. He could have gone so wrong in so many ways, but he managed to save it. However, it does mean that Aiden Pohl gets passed into a top 10. Oh, nearly contact as well, just pushing the bumper. Incredible overspeed from B-Roy there. I don't think Aiden Pohl was expecting that move to come back. He does realistically have the better pace, but B-Roy will make him fight for it. He will make him work for it, and this battle is not over.
Time's up. B-Roy Jenkins has gone out and tried to find that move. Doesn't quite get there, but Aiden Pohl is trying to so desperately to get back up. Formula Kai will be next. This will be for 9th place, and to try and find that pass. This is tough battling out there, and everyone is trying to make this all work out. Aiden Pohl ducks up underneath Formula Kai, who's done so well from starting right at the back down in pit lane. There's the move down the inside. Aiden Pohl now is saving some very good points late.
Yeah, he could realistically catch Brendan Hyperstar, maybe even Ryan as well. He's just in ahead, but that might be where it ends for Aiden Pohl. He's just been so fast on the lap times at the moment, just trying to keep track of it. Another 129.9 even with the battling there, so that is just incredible pace as we have Supreme fighting with Sparks at the moment. Oh, Supreme just shuts the door, saying there's no way you're going through on that one. But that means he's gone to the inside. Very aggressive defending. He's taken too much speed. Can Sparks get the overlap? No, it looks like just a correct defense. I must say that's worked out very well. And I think Sparks was just a little bit reluctant to go for the gap there, as he saw that they were taking up all of the track and not intending to leave a bit of room. I think Sparks is just intending to see Supreme make a mistake, because we've got car 42 in Formula Kai in the pits, maybe for just mechanical repairs right there. So we've got Punju with TK as well. TK's made a mistake onto the marbles. Through goes Punju. That's a clean move right there. And TK will be flashing his lights saying, pull over, get out of the way, or I'm going to pit maneuver you.
Well, Punju right now has done enough. That will now be 11th place with that pass, and it's a case of, can I get my points late? Can I score an extra position here or an extra position there? That's what they're thinking about late. Aerotech's got a bit of damage on the car, and that is enough to keep the Canadian driver out of place, with Strasner and Alex Gillen, who are 2nd and 3rd. Kamikaze, by the way, has asked for race control to give PayPal details for the lack of safety car.
Yeah, I must admit, I think he's just cruising at the moment, and I think You know, in terms of strategy, he was actually better than the other drivers because he'd pitted, at least for a fast repair, but I think he's okay on fuel as well. I think he's the same stint as Alex Gillen. Difficult to know how much fuel they had on board at race start, though. But yeah, it's just one of those races where he's had to fight hard for it, but now that he's fought those battles, he can just sit out the front, and with Alex Gillen and Strasser, and indeed before Aerotech, battling, it just means that they're taking time off of each other and they're not able to get that supreme pace, as we've got cars going slow here, and I think just a little bit of damage and a little bit of nerves settling in with 2 laps to go as well.
Well, positions need to change, and they need to change soon, as the last few cars now think about what they do. Rasin Chai, late on, is looking around here and thinking, can I get moves done? That's Tiamat Marduk, who is a lap down out there, that Rasin Chai moves on by, and we've got the likes of Brendan Hyperstar also keeping himself a little bit alert at this point with Aiden Pole behind. A move that has now happened is that Strasner has lost the place to Aerotech. So Strasner, that's gone wrong place, wrong time at the chicane, and suddenly that brings up 3rd place. Barney waves the final lap flag, the white flag here from Charlotte Motor Speedway for Kamikaze, who leads this field by 6 seconds and has proven that he's had a lot of pace, but also has been able to keep it out of dramas over the course of this one. Strasner back there in 4th position. There are 2 cars in front that he does not want to run up on the final lap, who are now going to start almost running together, which is Ultra Killer and Tom 97. So the one thing you can't afford is dramas, and Strasner here, I think, has seen better days out there in 4th position, who's really trying to work. There's the battle between Brendan Hyperstar and Aiden Pole. Round the outside trying to go. There's contact between them. Aiden Pole just about holds on, and Brendan then takes a big wide line to concede the place and say, not much I can do about that. I'll have my comeuppance back on the banking, but out of the banking now is going to be the final chance, because we got now NASCAR 3 and 4 for Kamikaze, and we talk about this being a car, the spiritual successor to the Trudeau AE86, and well, the spiritual successor of the car full of tofu comes by the way of Norway. Kamikaze to the line, takes the win at Charlotte.
Impressive drive. He just had the confidence on the curves, and another driver in the barriers. Is that fastest lap by Kamikaze at the end? It was a 29.2. I can't believe it. As Alex Gillen will, oh, hang on, battle here. Supreme TV just takes it from Sparks. Sparks just not able to get up the inside, but it will be Alex Gillen completing the podium with Aerotech as well. Strasner just missing out, as we've got a battle. Aiden Pole has overtaken Brendan Hyperstar once again. I think that was across the line, so Aiden Pole might have got that and secured that. But yeah, a lot of battles happening on this last lap, as people just trying to maintain their pace. The nerves, the pressure as you get into these final laps just take their toll, and you just have to send it and hope for the best. The gap between Adam Sanderson and Riz Blondie, 0.2 of a second, so it's all to play for here, as Adam Sanderson also back onto the back of Chesnoid Gaming as well, so he'll just be a little bit, he's a lap down obviously, but look at that, he's having to go to the inside. He doesn't want to lift up the pace. And can Rift Blondie do anything about it? Look at that overspeed. It might be a move. Oh. It's looking to be a move to the outside. I can't quite believe what I'm seeing.
Johnson's out. Johnson's out of fuel.
I can't believe it. 2 corners from the end. Can he get it to the end? Oh, nearly collision there with, I think that was Scotty Designs. No, it wasn't Scotty Designs. Matt 212 indeed with the Panasonic delivery. My apologies, couldn't see delivery there. But Adam Sanderson, so disappointing there for him, just cruising across the line and stopping just at the end, as we've got TK crossing the line, flashing the lights like he's probably been doing all time round, trying to do donuts, but the traction control saying, nope, you can't do that, sir. Sorry, you need a license for that, sir.
Yeah, ultimately, it's a case of a car that will not like to doughy, if ever there was such a thing out there. But ultimately for TK, last car that finishes on the leading lap, so we will be able to get confirmation of results then that come through from the Charlotte Motor Speedway for round 2 of your Creator Series, and it is car number 16 who picks up the result. Kamikaze is in a rich vein of form at the moment. 7.5 seconds over Alex Gillen, with Aerotech rounding out your podium. You've then got Strasner in 4th position, with Supreme TV making up the top 5. Sparks would lead just behind that, with Ryan L83 in 7th, and Aiden Poll, after being backwards twice in this race, will recover for an 8th place finish. Brendan Hyperstar will take 9th, and B-Roy will make the top 10 as far as the field is concerned. Punju will be 11th, with Formula Kai in 12th. Punju also stating that he picked up a slowdown on the final corner, had to jam the brakes on to avoid the 40-second penalty at the end of the race, with the likes of Racing Chai and El Tacoman, who would have gained advantage were that to happen. Riff Blondie making the move through on the final lap, along with Matt 212, with Adam Sanderson, who's fired every crew chief under the sun and will have to do it again twice over after running out of fuel, with the last car on the leading lap being TK in the 999 car, which is a nice healthy nod. You then got Joshimas then, who is 1 lap down in 19th, with Ancephalosis rounding out that top 20. You then got Scotty Designs, by the way, who is there in 21st, with Els Indriani 1 lap down, along with Ultra Killer, Grand Pooh Bear, who showed promise early on in the race and faded. Tiamat Marduk then running into troubles, as you got Chesnoy Gaming a lap down, 2 for Killer Cleo, 3 for Tom 97 and Super Noodle Bagel, and then Gwat's a retiree at 14 laps down, making up your 30-car field out there. And overall, we got the opportunity to take the championship standings into account there. It's how they ran in and looked to try and make that happen, but we do have the chance to talk with some of our drivers as they've come through with some amazing racing action. I think no better place to start here, as my hair has decided it's wanted to fall over my face, John, here with Kamikaze. And Kamikaze, I will have to ask this question first and foremost to you, buddy. How much money have you charged the Creator Series team to not have that safety car come out?
I just asked him for the PayPal account 4 laps before the end. Then we will discuss that later.
Oh, so it's roaming fee then, so to speak, then?
Yeah. Laps without safety car, good for me.
How crucial was it to keep sort of to gain track position and then pull off into the distance? Because we saw you were very aggressive with the curbs. I put that down in commentary due to WRC. You're used to going over sort of small rocks and stuff like that. But how much did that make a difference?
Track knowledge in iRacing has a lot to say. But yeah, it was a little bit too aggressive in the start, so I got some damage. So after I did my first pit, I forget to toggle on the fast repairs, so I need to go into the pit one more time in the next safety car just to fix that little issues with the top speed. So yeah, I think track knowledge, again, all to say on this track with how much you can cut the last chicane, for example. So yeah.
So when it comes to this race, it definitely looked through qualifying that you were going to have a rival today in Aiden Poll. That first safety car really changed things because drivers were basically out of position. And then when you see Aiden Poll spin about in front of you, do you think that's your free license to go out there for the win today?
Win in iRacing is nothing easy. And the race so long, you need to have amount of luck with you. And when I saw Aiden didn't go into the pit lane in the first safety car, I just decided to go in front of him just to make sure he has to go on this safety car. If not, he will lose the track position. So I think he pit the lap afterwards or something. So yeah, I forced him into the pit, I hope.
So a little bit of just strategy, forcing your teammate back into the pack where you hoped that there, would be some troubles. It did turn out that way. But, how many risks were you taking trying to carve through the field?
You know me.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking the question.
I risk everything every time.
No risk, no reward. Very quickly, Kamikaze, before we let you go, GT3's next time out at Sebring. How are you feeling on possibly the most populous car category that is driven in iRacing?
We need to put some effort into that. First of all, we need to find the car who suits us. I think every car will be limited to 75% of fuel and no other BOP. So we need to consider that, and we need to test a little bit car difference on the wet as well, because these rumors said it will be some wet track as well. So we will take a good week to make sure we get the right car choice for next week. So we need to put a little bit effort into that.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck. Kamikaze there joining us and picking up a big race victory here today from this Charlotte Motor Speedway. We are now going to jump on over to a driver who had an up and down and all around day and ended up P3 after all of that. Aerotech along here with us. And well, Keenan, it's one of those days where you sit down, you put a strategy in play, you gave yourself the license to attack. It almost didn't work, then it almost did, and ultimately you end up with a podium.
Yeah, I can't say I'm anything other than thrilled, man. I know we had something for Alex. He's just really smart. I think we had him on pace, but he kept putting the car in the right places, and anytime I had a big run on him, he saw it in his mirror and defended. So P2 would have been nice, especially with Aiden unfortunately getting caught in some trouble. That would have been like a de facto win for all of us who, aren't freaks. I was definitely thinking about that. And then Strasner, my not teammate in the livery behind me, I was like, if we get 2-3 for JWC Designs, that'd be incredible. But Alex just really smart heads up driving. But I was going into today with the thought process of, I'll ride around by myself in 12th, probably. Like, there's a lot of fast drivers in here, and this is a free car, free track, and everyone's got experience with this. So I'll probably just, find my own little groove in like 8th or 12th or whatever. And made some cool moves. Probably was on the broadcast, I hope. And that was a S-tier day for me.
We noticed a lot of Kansei Driftos, but with that traction control, was it difficult for you to adapt to that? And could you find any advantage from that? Because we saw you were quite aggressive into the turns in that you could make moves that other drivers couldn't. And, all throughout the race, we were thinking there's no way that this guy can't overtake on any corner. So putting people in under pressure, basically.
I don't know, especially up front. I don't know if a lot of the drivers up front, I know Strasner is a pretty big downforce open wheel guy. And then Alex, obviously, I know him from the F1 world. I don't know much of what he gets up to on iRacing. But maybe they were just rolling corners earlier, because at one point, especially with like 15 laps to go, I just started coasting mid-corner and focusing on exits. And then all of a sudden, especially because this track has big straights almost everywhere, I was like, okay, I'll just lift in the center and focus on exits. And all of a sudden, my lap times came down. I was closing gaps. I don't think I could have drove away. So again, like I was just trying to stay patient, especially when we were still kind of bunched up there. But I think just maybe relying on downforce that wasn't there. And I know a lot of us were carrying some light damage here and there too. So I'm sure that played a part to it as well.
So as it stands, this was your first race of the season here in Creator Series. As a position of sitting in, jumping in for the first time, seeing all these names around, I know you've been part of the WRC scene a little bit over the course of the seasons. What is it about Creator Series for creators like you that makes this so enjoyable to drive and be a part of?
I mean, no disrespect to any other series that gets a bunch of content creators in it to race, but it feels like, at least with us on WRC, and it's carried over now into iRacing, we all want to win. Like, we all are very competitive. I think that's just any gamer or sim racer. We all want to go out there and put on a good show and be towards the front, but we're not yelling at each other about it. I mean, you saw me and Alex were beating the doors off each other, and then at the end of the race, we had nothing but nice things to say about each other. Turns out I turned him on a straightaway. He moved twice on the braking. It wasn't, we were trying, you know what I mean? It's not like we were out there playing tiddlywinks, but we're all buddies at the end of the day, at least, or I'd like to be. So it's not just an environment where you have a lot of close competitive racing, whether you're, second, third, 10th, wherever. We're all chums at the end of the day and helping each other out and going, well, check this corner like this, and everyone wants to see each other get faster. And I think that's really unique part of this series too, especially like you just said, some of the names that are in here. Devin Butler himself is here. Grand Pooh Bear raced with us this week. And if I start naming names, people are going to get mad that I left them out. But I think it's really unique, and I've seen other content creator series before where if there's a little bit of argy-bargy, it seems like there's some bad blood after. I think it just makes for a better show for us, and then we're all friends at the end of the day, which is just the best part of it. And obviously, the variety of cars and tracks, being able to do every discipline which for those who have not seen the schedule, you're in for a couple of humdingers, and then every car. So it's not like you just master one car or one discipline and run away at the front of the field. I think you'll see a lot of new names and different names towards the top 5 and top 3 towards the rest of the season. Breathing's hard.
Great summary. Nothing to add, I think.
Well, the one thing I'll say then towards the end, how do you feel about GT3s at Sebring?
Not great, if I'm being honest. I'm not a big GT3 guy. To be honest, a lot of the free cars and free tracks got a lot of seat time in, so this was the time for me to do well. But I think I picked my teammate. I don't want to say anything yet, just in case they have other plans. But we're just going to have a good time. We're going to go out there and have some fun. And Sebring is a track that's everyone's very well practiced, obviously. Even with fixed sets, GT3 is a discipline that a lot of people in this field have a lot of seat time in. So I'm just going to take it round by round. And if we come out of Sebring with a smile on our face, I think I'll be stoked about it.
Well, here we have it there. Keenan Kusen, who is at least or Aerotech, at least a 2-time winner of Max Bant, who joins us then.
Princess of Banter, baby! That's my best accolade. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely, I've got to mention it. Got to mention it.
Let's go. The self-plug too. Jake, the professional Sperry, ladies and gentlemen.
Why not? Look, it's free real estate here. But yes, Aerotech joining us then, having a wonderful P3 finish to put things in on the boards. John, that will just about do it for us here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Final thoughts as we head from here, pack our bags, and head to the Panhandle of America.
Yeah, well, this race delivered, didn't it? We had the chaos of the first race at Monza, but this was another form of racing, like a raw form of racing, where you had to fight for the position, you had to be aggressive, but where disaster was literally around every single corner. And indeed, if you're Connor Sport, maybe fuel was around the corner as well, but that's another story. It must be said for Kamikaze, that is a dominant performance, and which puts him at the top of the leaderboard standings, at least according to my mental maths up here. So it will be very interesting to see whether he can keep the pace on the high downforce GT3s. Again, another change of driving style and indeed change of circuit as always. So there's going to be drivers that are going to be struggling, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what teams come up on the list for next race.
We certainly will see who stands up and says they can be counted. It's special event when we head to racing in 7 days' time. You can join us here, of course, with the Creator Series as well on iRacing and on Creator Series socials as we get ourselves into racing from the Sebring International Raceway. We are in GT3 spec, which means that it is the most populous category. Find yourself a way to win the BOP, and you might have a chance of victory. From John Harris, John Isamusing Harris, from Jake Sperry, and of course Gareth Allen, who's been working behind the scenes, this has been a race of who can stand up and get themselves counted. We talk about this being the spiritual successor to the Tofu tax car of the Truno AE86, but today delivery is of Norwegian Tofu, and it comes in the form of kamikaze driving. Brilliant stuff from racing. More to come. We'll see you in 7 days at Sebring.